what I learned here, everything starts with the ball and finish with the ball. So sometimes we forget that this is a game 11-11 with one ball, and we try to keep this ball, we try to play with the ball, we try to make everything with the ball.
Pep Guardiola did not invent passing. He did not invent possession. He did not invent attacking football. Yet somehow, after Guardiola arrived, football started looking different everywhere. Different defenders, different goalkeepers, different formation. Even many coaches who disagreed with his philosophy ended up borrowing parts of it, which raises a strange question. How can one manager change a sport without changing its rules? The answer is simpler than most fans think. And far more important, this is exactly how it happened. To understand Guardiola, you first need to understand one idea: space. Not the ball, space. Most people watch football and follow the ball. It's natural. The ball is where the action is. The ball is where the goals come from. The ball is what television cameras follow. Guardiola saw something different. He looked at the same pitch as everyone else, the same players, the same ball, yet he believed most people were watching the wrong thing. Fans watched the ball. Guardiola watched the space around it, because football, at its core, is a battle for space. Who controls it? Who creates it? Who takes it away? The ball is simply the tool used to fight that battle. This idea changed everything. Guardiola's teams spread themselves across the pitch, sometimes so wide that it looked excessive, almost unnecessary. It wasn't. Every player occupied a specific area. Every movement served a purpose. Every pass changed the shape. The objective was remarkably simple: stretch the opponent until gaps appear. Then attack those gaps. Simple in theory, extremely difficult in practice. Imagine stretching a rubber band. Pull gently and nothing happens. Pull a little more and it resists, but keep stretching and eventually something gives. Guardiola treated defenses the same way. Every pass, every movement, every position, another pull on the rubber band, waiting for the moment the structure finally broke. That might not sound revolutionary today, but at the time, it was, because many teams focused primarily on where the ball was. Guardiola became obsessed with how the ball could be used to create space elsewhere. A tiny shift in perspective with enormous consequences. When opponents chased the ball, his players slipped into the spaces they left behind. When opponents stayed compact, his teams used quick passing combinations to pull them apart. Either way, the opponent faced the same problem. They were always reacting, and Guardiola's team was always dictating. The consequences reached every corner of the pitch. Defenders could no longer survive on tackling alone. They needed to pass. They needed composure. They needed to participate. Midfielders needed to understand positioning at a deeper level than ever before. And goalkeepers? Goalkeepers were dragged into the revolution too. For decades, their job description had been wonderfully simple: stop the ball from going in. A perfectly reasonable career choice. Now they were expected to help start attacks, play under pressure, pick passes, create advantages. Because if 11 players can help create space, why would you only use 10? The real shock came later. Many coaches dismissed Guardiola's idea. Too risky, too complicated, too idealistic. Then his teams kept winning and winning and winning. Suddenly, what looked like a strange philosophy started looking like a blueprint for success. Barcelona dominated Europe. Trophies piled up, records disappeared, and slowly, the football world began to adapt. Youth academies copied the ideas. Professional clubs copied them. National teams copied them. Even teams built around counterattacks started borrowing parts of Guardiola's approach. Not because they loved it, because it worked. That's how revolutions happen. Not when everyone agrees, when everyone adapts. But here's the detail most people miss. Guardiola did not change football because of possession. That's the famous part, the highlight reel part, the misunderstood part. His real contribution was making space the center of everything. Possession was simply a method, a means, not the destination. That's why Guardiola's teams have looked different throughout his career. The players changed, the systems evolved, the details shifted, but the principle remained. Control space, create space, exploit space. Everything else came after. And you can still see that influence today. Whether you're watching elite clubs, youth football, or the biggest international tournaments, teams are constantly trying to create superior positions, manipulate defenders, and control space. That idea is now everywhere. It has become part of football's DNA. Which brings us back to the original question. Why did Guardiola break football? Because he convinced the sport to stop staring at the ball and start paying attention to the space around it. Once coaches understood that, the game began changing on its own. Familiar positions evolved. Traditional roles were redefined. Entire tactical systems evolved. The rules stayed exactly the same. The way people understood them did not. Guardiola's greatest idea was surprisingly simple. The ball was never the most important thing on the pitch. The empty grass around it was. Once football understood that, everything else began to change. He didn't rewrite football's rulebook. He changed the way people read it. And once that happened, there was no going back. He didn't rewrite football's rulebook. He changed the way people read it. And once that happened, football never looked the same again.